Hey, this is Noah. Hope y'all appreciate that I'm repping it. Today I want to do a little bit of a speculation and discussion about the partners that Google has claimed that they're working with. I said that like as if they're lying. I don't know why I said it like that. To get y'all up to speed, Google has announced in a number of instances that they're working with specific companies to make games for them. This doesn't mean they own them, it just means that these companies have openly said, hey, we're making games for them. I imagine this is the closest thing to them saying, okay, we don't have games now, but just know that we are making them. A few of them have put out games on Stadia, some of them being just ports of their other games, and the other ones are actual, like, new things. And I want to go through some of these companies and sort of speculate what we might see from them. The first one is the company Harmonix, and it's very easy to assume what kind of games we're going to see from them, because their notable works before were Guitar Hero and Rock Band. So I think I know what they're going to be putting out on Stadia, some kind of rhythm game. Which some might say is a bold choice, since Stadia innately has a small amount of delay by default. Currently they don't have any games on Stadia, but I'm interested to see what they're going to do, because maybe we'll get DJ Hero 3. Next one is Robot Entertainment, and they already have Orcs Must Die 3 on Stadia. So I think it's safe to assume that we could eventually get Orcs Must Die 1 and 2 ports. I'd appreciate that, because I never played them. They have a number of other games, a game series called Hero Academy, Ready Set Heroes, Echo Prime, Age of Empires Online, but for the most part, Orcs Must Die seems to be where they reside in what they do. From what I was told, actually, they were intending to can Orcs Must Die, but when Google came to them for a partnership, they were like, yeah, we actually really like Orcs Must Die. And they were like, oh, okay. And so Google funded them somewhat. So that's cool. Then we have Splash Damage, who created the newly released Outcasters, an enjoyable experience. Their notable works are that they designed the multiplayer for Return to Castle Wolfenstein, Doom 3, Batman Arkham Origins, Gears of War 4, and Gears 5. And they did some port work for first-person shooters like Halo, specifically I think the Master Chief Collection on PC. So there's a part of me that thinks that if we get more stuff from them, maybe we'll get a first-person shooter multiplayer experience. That's something that I think Stadia could definitely use. Not that Destiny 2 isn't enough, but something truly original that they can't play somewhere else. Then we have Supermassive Games. This was a newer one that they just announced was a thing. Supermassive Games, they have a relatively short list of games that they've produced, but the two that stick out are Until Dawn and the 3 games as a part of the Dark Pictures anthology. These games are story-driven, interactive drama type of games. I would compare it to almost like an FMV, but somewhere crossbred with something that David Cage would have made. So if their previous work is anything to say what we might get from them in the future, we could get something akin to Until Dawn or the Dark Pictures anthology. And honestly, I'm down. I'm always down for a story-driven type of game, and if we can expect anything like that, those games were well received as far as I know. Then we got Tequila Works. They produced Guilt. They have a fairly diversified backlog. The 3 that stuck out to me when I was reading the Wikipedia article were Deadlight, The Sexy Brutale, I don't know how you pronounce it, and Rhyme. And the thing that the 3 of those games share is that they're mostly adventure games and or puzzle games. So I expect potentially 2 things. First thing is potentially getting an action-adventure puzzle game, maybe akin to The Legend of Zelda, because I'm, a fanboy. I would love that sort of thing. The other thing that I think they might do is do a sequel, potentially, to a game like Rhyme. Apparently, they didn't have the rights until about 2016, and once they reacquired them, the potential for using the IP opens up again. So that might be cool. Then we have Thunderful Games. They've already put a lot of games on Stadia, but the majority of it is the Steam World series. The Steam World series is very well received, but Thunderful actually has a whole lot of games. So much to the point where the diversity is, I can't even really give you a definitive answer for what it could be. And with Thunderful, we know that they are making an exclusive for Stadia, very explicitly. I think they said something to the effect of it's going to be something new, but the point is that it's hard to speculate if you just want to use what they've done before. If it's anything like the SteamWorld series and being sort of a Metroidvania, I'm down. Then we got Typhoon Studios. This one's not a partnership. Stadia Games and Entertainment actually bought this studio, so it is now a subsidiary. Subsidiary. They only, I think, had 1 game Journey to the Savage Planet, and in Stadia's recent event, they actually announced that it was being ported, which seems proper. I imagine for the people who actually were aware of Typhoon Studios when they were announced to be being purchased by Stadia Games and Entertainment, they were probably thinking to themselves, well, are we getting that game? Where's it at? And not only that, it sounds like it's going to be a definitive edition of some sort. I'm wondering if it's going to be an exclusive. But anyway, because of the fact that that's the only game they've done, it's hard to define exactly what to expect from them. But it is interesting to consider that since they are owned by Stadia Games and Entertainment, whatever they do might actually have even greater quality than Journey to the Savage Planet. I will say that when that game releases on Stadia, I may consider giving it a look, because I never did before. Then we have Uppercut Games. Uppercut Games is the one that produced Submerged originally, and they're the ones that created Submerged Hidden Depths, of which I have wasted about 8 hours of my time getting all the achievements. It's a decent game. But anyway, that's not the only thing they did. They have a number of games, but not that many. I don't know how you pronounce this word, epoch. Epoch. There's so many. I hate English. But they have 2 of those. Then City of Brass, in addition to, Submerged, the first one. And City of Brass, I've never heard of it before, but it looks actually genuinely interesting. A first-person game taking place in the context of, like, the Arabian Nights. It's a cool idea. I expect them to port Submerged, the first one, so that players of Submerged Hidden Depths can have some context. I would appreciate that personally. And then, potentially, it would be interesting to see a port of City of Brass, just because it's such an interesting-looking game. But if I had to guess on what kind of game they might produce after this, I would like to hope for an action-adventure game. With due respect to the creators and their justifications for why Submerged Hidden Depths is a very, chill game, playing it almost just makes me wish I was playing a game akin to, like, Tomb Raider or, like, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. An adventure game where there's genuine challenge. When you play Submerged Hidden Depths, if you go up to an area where platforming will become necessary, the game does it for you. There's no enemies in the game. There's no way to, like, die. It's like they streamlined the game to the point of it is purely about exploration. And you know what? That is a choice. But I do think their expertise could be applied to more of the standard, fair adventure game, and I would love to see how they could do it. And the last one, and sort of the biggest turnoff, is Stadia Games and Entertainment themselves. Obviously, this is a new studio that Stadia founded themselves for first-party exclusives. But my thing is that because it's new, it's hard to even say, even remotely, more than all the other ones, what they could potentially do. I remember I posted a thing on Reddit, yeah, I'm one of those. I was trying to ask what their first-party exclusive should be, like their first big game. And the way I worded it in the title led people to think I was talking about a party game. A lot of people were talking... I gotta be frank that a lot of the people were being pretty ambitious. Like, one of the people was saying, like, they want a game kind of like Ready Player One. I'm just like, oh, okay, hold on a second. We're not that far in yet. Come on. Reel it back in. My favorite suggestion was a game... They went into quite a bit of depth, but what I rationalized it as was akin to Planet Side 2, but on a much bigger scale. One of the lingering criticisms about Stadia that I think could be considered fair is when they were talking about Stadia and its technical specifications, they were suggesting that it was very powerful even compared to the Xbox One X. Now, with the new game consoles, I don't know if that's necessarily the case. But one of the aspects, and I could be wrong, and I'll fact check myself after this, is that with the individual modules of Stadia being used, a developer could leverage multiple to make the console more powerful. Essentially, quite literally, as if you took, okay, I got my PS4, and now I'm gonna put another PS4 on top of it. And now if I plug them together, it's like a PS4 Pro. I don't know if anyone actually uses that feature, if it's even one that I'm actually correct in remembering that it's a thing, but I think when they were saying that, they got excited thinking, oh god, this is going to look incredible, this is going to be an incredibly powerful machine. And for the most part, either A, all the games on Stadia are just like, okay, this is from the previous generation, you can play these on the platforms and they look just as good. If anything, they might look better just because you don't have to worry about potential compression. what I would love to see from them is a game that truly shows off the potential of Stadia while also maintaining being a game that you can only play on Stadia. Not just because it's an exclusive, but maybe even if I wanted to reach for it, a game that would be too much for another platform to handle, even with the newer consoles. That is wishful thinking. But if everyone on Reddit is allowed to be wishful thinking with the Stadia Reddit, then I think I'm entitled to a little bit. As a disclaimer in post, all of this is just my speculation. Very little of this is built on factual evidence of what it could be. If you have ideas of what you would like them to put out on Stadia as exclusives, let me know in the comments below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe, and I'll go back to trying to think of some cool ideas for videos. This is Noah. That's Stadia and their partnerships. See ya.